I saw this machine handwriting postcards. The person working in the booth said, "We automate handwritten cards."
Yeah, so I started this company 11 years ago. We're now the largest provider of automated handwriting in the world. The reason I started is in 2025, only 12% of people feel appreciated by brands. And then we said, okay, well, what would make you feel appreciated? And by and large, the answer was handwritten notes.
David Wax is the founder and CEO of Handwritten, the world's largest provider of automated handwritten notes. He's revolutionizing how Shopify brands build loyalty using real pen-written cards powered by robots.
So we have a snack box company, and when they screw up, they send a handwritten note and an additional box of snacks. And what they find is people that have that bad experience followed by the win back actually have higher lifetime value than those that were never screwed up in the first place.
How authentic does the handwriting look? Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Shopify 1% podcast. I'm really excited about today's episode because I think it was 4 years ago, I was at Sub Summit and I walked by this booth and I saw this machine that was handwriting postcards. And I walked up and I asked, I said, "Tell me more about this." And the person working in the booth said, "Oh, well, you know how some people send emails and SMS and different things. Well, we automate handwritten cards." And I thought, well, this is just genius because I know the impact of what a handwritten note means to me when I get it. And I'm so excited to hear more about what this means to a customer, specifically in the e-commerce space, and maybe how that drives connection. Because my guest today, he's the CEO of Handwritten, spelt HNDWRYTTEN. And actually read in a study of yours that customers today feel appreciated. Only 12% of them feel appreciated.
Yes.
Just a couple years ago, that was 18%. It's going down.
Yep.
Tell us, first of all, David, welcome to the show. Take a minute and brag about yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us about your company. And I'm excited to get into today's topic.
Yeah, so I'm Jay. Thank you so much. I'm David Wagg, CEO and founder of Handwritten. You're right, HANDWRYTTEN. Why? Because we love you. Yeah, so I started this company 11 years ago. We're now the largest provider of automated handwriting in the world, to my understanding, by a pretty large margin, I believe.
Wow.
But the reason I started is prior to this, I had a company that did text messaging, and we'd send 1 million texts a day for Abercrombie and Fitch, and Toys R Us, we'd send another million or whatever. And while that worked, I kind of saw the writing on the wall and I realized, gee, everybody's going to be overloaded with all this electronic communication, whether it's text or Slack or Teams or Twitter or emails. You know, the average person gets about 135 emails in their business email box a day. And that's an old stat. I think it's way more now. And they spend a quarter of their time managing that. So, you know, people are just hitting delete as fast as they come in.
Yeah.
When was the last time somebody thanked you for marketing to them? And that's what handwritten notes do. When somebody gets a handwritten note with an I, or, you know, handwritten with an I or handwritten with a Y, not only do they open it, but they keep it and often put it on display. And you might receive a thank you call. Thank you for sending them that thank you note or whatever you're sending them. That happens all the time because people really appreciate the fact, A, you're doing something different, and B, you're trying to connect at that human level. And what handwritten notes do is they show a deeper investment in time and thoughtfulness than an email or a text would. And then they also just stand out because the average person gets like 2 to 3 handwritten notes a month versus 135, 150 emails a day. So the least used inbox is the one at the end of their driveway, right? So that's what we try to do. So it's that 1-2 punch of A, it gets noticed because it's not frequently used, and B, it gets kept and savored because it feels personal. And to your point on the 12%, yeah, we found that stat pretty staggering. So we've done a survey twice now of consumer sentiment towards the brands that they work with and how they like to be reached out to. And what they said is they only feel in 2025, only 12% of people feel appreciated by brands. That's down from 2022 when it was 18%. So it's dropped by a third. And then we said, well, what would you do if you do feel appreciated?
Mm.
And they said, well, we would buy more frequently, rate and review more, and refer to friends more. So all the good stuff, everything you want, they would do if they felt appreciated. And then we said, okay, well, emails, texts, printed brochures, handwritten notes, what would make you feel appreciated? And by and large, the answer was handwritten notes. So it's a relatively small lift. A handwritten note isn't some gimmick expensive thing you got to ship them or do for them. It's a relatively small lift to make people feel appreciated. And that appreciation, depending on the note, you don't want the note to be some spam crap. You want it to be a sincere note from you. That note can have outsized returns. So that's really what we do. And for all the Shopify listeners in the audience, we have a plugin for Shopify you can use. And if you'd like, we can get into that. But I'm here to really preach
Yeah.
the benefit of handwritten with an I, not a Y.
Well, I for sure want to get into how an app would work. Because I imagine. Well, let's. Okay, first of all, what kind of note can be sent? Is it like a postcard? Is it a letter? Are there different layouts? Like, what does it look like?
Yeah, great question. So we don't actually do postcards because for us, it kind of defeats the point. When you get a postcard, we get really hoity-toity about this stuff. We say there's an unboxing experience with a handwritten note. You get the card in an envelope. You wonder, why did Jay Myers write me? You take the time to open that note and read the inside.
Mm.
With a postcard, first of all, when it gets to your house, it's all banged up because it's, gone through the mechanicals postcard system. B, it doesn't show really any investment. Postcards are super cheap. And then C, there's no unboxing experience.
So wait, so even the address on the letter is handwritten?
Yeah,
Oh,
everything is handwritten.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that the envelope is handwritten. There's a real stamp on there. And if you're Canadian or you're shipping to Canada and you have a Canadian from and a Canadian to address, it's a Canadian stamp is on there. We have a partner in Canada to mail those. And yeah, and actually the envelope is one of the most important parts because handwritten envelopes get a 3 times greater open rate than print.
Yeah, and just to clarify, it's not a printed handwritten font. It's
It's a pen.
actually a pen that's
Yeah.
moved by a machine. So it is literally written.
It looks the same. Yeah, it looks like it was written.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of nuance we can get into there too. If you want to know about that technology, I'm happy to share it. We do letters. We don't recommend it. They're expensive because a letter is a lot of writing.
Yeah.
What are you really going to say to a client? My dearest Gwendolyn, it's only, you're not going to write a whole letter to somebody. So we say short cards, and we do have kind of 2 sizes that we try to fit you in. One is, it really depends on the envelope more than anything. So a 5x7 envelope, which is a large, typically flat card, and it could be portrait or landscape. So it could either be vertically oriented or horizontal. And then my favorite is an A2 folded card. So that's a little smaller. That's like this size. And then it opens up or it opens to the side. You can go to handwritten.com, create an account for free, design your own cards. And we operate a full print shop, printing press. So every card is printed. It's not like you printed it out on your home printer. It's a full bleed, thick, stock custom card. And it can either be vellum, which is kind of a toothy stock, good for stationary style 5x7 flat cards, or it could be a C1S, which is a glossier stock, good for saturated images. So if you're doing a full photo on the front of the card, I'd recommend the C1S, and that's what we do by default. But so yeah, it's a folded card or a flat card, completely to your specs. And then once you've designed that card, you can actually plug in our Shopify app and then send it directly based on triggers in Shopify. So you could say, send this card to everybody on their first purchase, and then design another card, like you're a rock star, send that card to everybody after they spend a certain amount of money, and then another one on anniversary purchase, and you can even do abandoned shopping cart style cards.
So I could send a handwritten note to someone when they don't complete a purchase.
Yeah, I don't know if many people do it, but you certainly can. And you could even, if you've got kind of, let's say you only have 10 products on your on your app, like maybe, or on your store, maybe you sell expensive saunas. You could actually design a abandoned shopping cart for each of those 5, 10 saunas
Yeah.
and send that separately. So, we're so sorry you decided not to purchase this sauna, blah, 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 and send that out. So you could do the abandoned shopping cart. Most people are sending thank you for your purchase. The main use case for handwritten is not really strict marketing, it's long term value of that client because everybody, I think, is so excited to grow their client base. And, there's a lot of CRM dashboards around new sales and that type of thing, but there isn't as much razzmatazz around client retention. And there's a lot you can do to kind of fill, close up that leaky bucket on the bottom, where not every client just falls through the bottom of the bucket by making clients feel appreciated per our 2,000 person survey. We show that these clients can come back in again and again. So it's really about customer nurturing and sharing appreciation. Because as Maya Angelou says, it's not what you do for somebody or sell somebody, it's how you make them feel. And that's what they remember. So if you can help them out there and try to appeal to their emotion, people buy on emotion, and that's what we help them with.
Amazing. I'm looking at the screen right here and seeing some of the triggers. Like my mind just spins. Like I was an e-commerce store owner since 1998. So when I see stuff like this, I start going, like my mind starts spinning, and I
Yeah.
like lifetime purchase threshold. So I mean, that's one seems like a no-brainer I would set up. Like once someone has spent $500 or
Yeah.
$1,000, like to send a personal thank you. You've been a customer for and you've spent so much, and we just wanted to give you something. Like here is a coupon for $50
Yes.
off, something like that. Like on us, we appreciate your business. Like to me, that would be like one of the first ones I would set up. Like what is what are the ones you see that work the best? And I guess actually, how do you track that? Is it through coupon codes that you track ROI?
Yeah.
Or?
So we do have some clients using coupon codes. We have actually a Canadian bespoke suit company out of Vancouver. So they'll send, you provide your measurements or whatever, and they'll go to China to get a suit made and send it. And what they do for their best clients every year around Christmas, they send them a special coupon code in a holiday card from the company, and they see a 17% redemption rate on those coupons,
Wow,
which is by far their highest redemption rate.
I believe
But
it.
to your point, usually we're out of the loop.
Mhm.
People don't share with us the effectiveness. Why would they? We just raise their rates, or so they'd think. We don't know. All we know is our clients see great responses from this because they keep using us year in, year out. Some other use cases that are kind of unrelated to the Shopify app, but available, just using handwritten is winbacks. So we have a snack box company that sends office snacks, snacks to your office every 2 weeks to refill your pantry. And when they screw up, whether it's a late box or the wrong box or stuff gets damaged, what have you, they send a handwritten note and an additional box of snacks. And that handwritten note says, "We're so sorry for this mistake. Please take this extra box of snacks." And what they find is people that have that win back, that the bad experience followed by the win back, actually have higher lifetime value than those that were never screwed up with in the first place. And because of that, they then decided to just screw up with everybody, send everybody the win back and raise all boats. It's a tremendously effective campaign for them. But yeah, I mean, for us, it's really anniversary of purchase, thank you. And then, we do Christmas and birthday cards, but a lot of that falls outside of the Shopify plugin.
So funny you mentioned that they don't screw up intentionally.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk with our support team at Bold, and I always say that like when something goes wrong, it's a golden opportunity because you never rave, you never go to a store, let's say it's a grocery store, and just buy something, check out, pay, and everything is just normal and rave about it. But if something goes wrong, and then I have this example, I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but I'll say it again. But there's a coffee shop up in here in Canada called Tim Hortons. I don't know if they're down in the US or
Of
not.
course. I mean, it should be on the Canadian flag.
I think it's yeah, yeah. It's synonymous with Canada. Anyways, I went through the drive-through one time. Sorry, I didn't go through the drive-through. My sister-in-law did, and she ordered like 3 sandwiches and some drinks and stuff, or some dinner. Got home, opened up the bag, and I think 2 of the sandwiches were missing, and it was like going to be supper for the kids.
Right.
And so she was upset because she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And she tweeted something like, "Thanks, Tim Hortons. How can you like not even put the sandwiches in the bag? Now I got to drive back. You screwed up our dinner."
Right.
Something along those lines. Well, Tim Hortons DM'd her directly, messaged her, apologized, and offered to drive the sandwiches to her house. And they drove they got someone to drive the sandwiches. And like to this day, like that was 15 years ago. I'm still talking about it. She's still talking
Yeah.
about it. And it's like, had that not gone wrong, it would just been a regular order like every other one. So I do believe 100% that when something goes wrong, correcting it is what customers remember. And if you can manufacture that in a way that is not overly bad, that they're leaving horrible reviews on the internet, but just enough that you can fix it.
I totally agree. I was just talking about this on a podcast the other day. When somebody calls into customer service or goes to your chat bot or whatever, that is a double, that is a, you're out 2 strikes right there, 2, not 1. Because 1, they had the bad experience, right?
Mhm.
Like they're contacting you because they had a horrible experience. They need to fix it. 2, now you're inconveniencing them a second time because now not only did they have the bad experience, but now they have to waste their time getting on your chat bot or calling your 800 number or whatever to fix it. And oftentimes, if you're a bad company, they have to go through an IVR tree and get transferred 18 times and you have to re-explain it 5, all that. So if you can walk away from that experience feeling heard, it is huge. Personally, same thing. I recently, this wasn't 15 years ago, but I recently bought a new barbecue island for a backyard. And there were a number of pieces and they had to be palleted in from some, God only knows where. And it took a few days for that to come. When they came, one of those pieces was damaged. It was all banged up. So I contacted Barbecue Guys, the company I bought it from, happy to mention them. And they said, okay, well, we're so sorry about that. We'll ship you a new part overnight. And then somehow, and I don't even know how they did it, they were able to get that overnight. And then, which was great, and it was fine. And I said, well, what do I do with the other part? They said, just throw it away or give it to somebody. I was like, great, make it easy. And then 2 days later, they called me and they said, we just wanted to make sure you got your part. Everything's okay. You're happy now. The fact that they called me to follow up, that I wasn't a transaction, that they have a customer for life, right? Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't take much. It just doesn't take much. But once you do that little extra step of following up to make sure people feel heard, it's like, wow, right?
Yeah.
And it really gets back to that Maya Angelou quote. Yeah, I think customers, and I said this on the podcast a couple of days ago, I said, customer service is where you can really create those aha connections by turning a double strike out into a positive. And it's not that hard. You just have to care.
Yeah.
And if you know, my sample here had nothing to do with a handwritten note. It had to do with a phone call. But if you're trying to scale it, maybe handwritten notes. And we had, during COVID, a client of ours is a flat pack furniture seller. So, they assemble yourself furniture, they ship it to you, you put it together. They have people calling into their call center. And one person called in, they sent them a handwritten note, thanking them for calling in and hoping everything's okay. That person then called back crying. I think a lot of this is elevated due to COVID and people were especially solitary or isolated and that type of thing. But I think the emotion's still there today, five, almost 6 years later. It's not as heightened, but it's there. And if you can tap into that and make people feel heard, that's huge.
Wow. What can you put in a letter? Can you put, could you put a picture of your team in there
100%.
or like, can you include things like that?
Yeah, I mean, the card itself is fully customizable. If I could get it on frame,
Yeah.
it's fully customizable, and you could customize the front, you can customize the back, and then on a card like this, you could put something on the top. On the back, you can put your logo or what have you. Our cards that we sell that aren't customized say Red Wagon because we don't want to say handwritten and ruin the mystery or whatever,
Right.
give away the secret. You can also, on a folded card, you could put a QR code at the top. On a flat card,
That's so smart.
you could do it. And those QR codes are uniquely trackable.
Yeah.
So if you have 500 people and you send it out to 500 and 20 of them, 20 would be a lot for QR codes. But if people actually scan it, you have to have a real good reason for people to scan.
Yeah.
You-
Wait, are they trackable per recipient?
Person, per person.
Person.
Yeah.
So you create
Well,
a
per recipient. So if
Yeah.
I send this card and it had a QR code to Jay Myers and Jay's wife or Jay's kid or whoever
Yeah.
scanned it,
But if you send 100 different ones, I can track which one was
correct.
scanned. So
Yeah.
you're creating 100 different URL
Yeah.
redirects to the
Correct. Yeah. And because the way we couldn't used to do this because, when we place your order on our robots, we print out 500 of your card. If you did an order of 500, we just take a stack of 500 cards, stick them in the robot, and God forbid the robot screws up, we got to redo it. But now our system's so mature, we can individually track it all the way through the process. And so we're fully able to do that for you. And then we
It's
just provide you nice
amazing.
charts.
Like, I would imagine if I had thank you notes. So someone spends a certain amount, they order something, and I say, we have an offer exclusive for you. It's not on our website. It's a
Yeah.
hidden offer that's only available through this QR code. Again, there's something about mystery. Like, we know, like, one of our apps, we do upselling, and one of the upsell offers that convert the best is a mystery box where the customer doesn't know what they're getting, but there's something about that mystery, right? Like, or
Yeah.
scan, we've prepared some, we have a special offer for you, scan to see what your offer is. Like, the click through on that's got to be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So you can absolutely do that. And then you'd have the reporting on our end and the reporting on your end as far as, it would just go through to whatever Shopify URL you want. Yeah, that's all very easily doable.
Amazing. What does it cost?
If you go, so what I would not recommend is creating an account handwritten, signing up on Shopify and paying through Shopify because Shopify requires us to allow you to buy through Shopify. It's just one of their marketplace terms.
Yeah.
But then you're paying rack rate. Instead, if you go to handwritten.com, you can prepay for credits or buy a subscription. Or now we have these things called business plans. So long answer to short question, but at the very most, you're paying $3.75 a card plus postage. The very least, you could be paying $1.49. It just depends on if you do a business plan or not. The business plans run, you can actually pay less than $1.49 if you do our elite plan. Just don't give that pricing out without talking to us. So,
Do you have a way to track the cohort of customers who have received a handwritten note versus ones that haven't?
that would be through you or through Klaviyo. That's we don't capture all your data like that right now.
Right. So, but in Shopify, could I?
Shopify, you could, yeah.
Right. So, is there something? Could it apply a tag to a customer, or is there some way that I know that a customer has received a
That's a
handwritten note?
great That's a great question. Currently, no, we don't apply a tag. However, I will put that on the short list because that should be very easy. Our problem is we designed the Shopify plugin in a vacuum and we haven't received a lot of feedback. But yeah, we could absolutely apply a tag, or if you use Klaviyo, you could use Klaviyo to trigger handwritten and then add the tag then as well. It would just be a Zapier attachment.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm gonna play it. There's got to be a way. What I'm getting at is, I am willing to bet anything that if I ran a report on the cohort of customers that have gotten a handwritten note, their customer lifetime value would be higher than the
Yeah.
ones that haven't.
Yeah,
So sometimes with
100%.
sometimes with things like this, like they might not buy directly that moment on the QR code. They
Right.
might not, but a month later, when they need to buy something, they'll feel that little bit more connection, and they might come back to the brand that
Yeah.
they
I mean,
sent them a handwritten note.
100%. I mean, if we are raising the LTV, we're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people put it under too short of a window.
Hmm.
Like, I might not need your service. We'll have clients sign up and say, okay, we're going to do a 1 month test and see what happens with ROI in that month. Well, you're sending people a thank you note. That doesn't mean they're going to need you within the remaining 12 days of that month or something. You kind of have to open up your aperture a bit and look at the bigger picture of, okay, well, maybe it's 6 months, a year. The whole idea is LTV, lifetime value, not 2 month value.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. This is about sending a card, maybe 2 to 3 to 4, no more than 4 touch points a year, trying to just stay top of mind. Because I think a lot of people feel, okay, I'm going to sell I'm not even going to sell them. They're just going to come to my website to buy because of course they will. Wrong attitude. And they will be my customer for life because why wouldn't they? Wrong attitude. I think as a continent, we have to say, we've lost the gratitude. And we have to really thank people for finding us among the plurality, the millions of, we live in an age of abundance. So picking us among all the opportunities out there. And then, whether they buy from Amazon or they buy from your competitor or they go to Alibaba and they have it made, whatever that is, you should thank them for that. And then, really just stay in touch with them through meaningful touch points over the course of a year. But we're talking no more than 4. So unless something crazy happens, they buy, they become your biggest customer, they spend 10 grand or whatever, maybe there's more, but it's really, okay, how does that LTV look in the long term, not over 2 weeks, but 2 years or something? How does that look different? Because I think everybody's gotten so myopic, and it's also very, very interesting where they choose to measure ROI.
Totally.
We have clients, very large luxury clients, spending God only knows what to be on the back of magazines. We
Yeah.
just got a magazine at the house, full page ad on the back of the magazine. But there you have a 10-page spreadsheet trying to figure out the ROI of sending a $2 card to a client that spends $30,000 in jewelry. And it's like, boy, that's convenient. You choose to do ROI on this. What about the ROI on that? Oh, well, there's no ROI on that, right? So it's just, I think people need to listen to somebody who was kind of smart, Albert Einstein, that said, not everything that can be measured matters, and not everything that matters can be measured. And really kind of just think about it with more of a holistic long-term framework.
I like that. If someone listening right now had maybe $1,000, $10,000, some
Yeah.
amount they wanted to like budget, they're like, okay, I want to try
Yeah.
this. What is the best approach? Like, there's a lot of different triggers: abandoned card, thank yous, spend amount, spend threshold. Like, what would you say is the best thing they could do if you're running an online store
Yeah.
selling dog food or whatever? What would
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
what would you do with that test budget?
I would send a thank you. The card would be genuine. There'd be no call to action on my note on the part I wrote. So it would just be, we're a small bit. I would try to appeal to their emotional heartstrings. We're a small business. We truly appreciate every sale. We are surprised and delighted that you chose us. Thank you very much. On the back of the card, if it's a folded card, on the back, maybe I'd put a QR code that says, or, visit this URL to get 10% off your next order.
Mm.
So it's more of a, oh, by the way, this is a card I picked off our shelf to send to you. There just happens to be marketing on it, but it's not mentioned on, you don't want to dilute the
Yeah,
sentiment. You
makes
know
sense.
what I mean? So that's what I would do. And for quantity like that, I go to handwritten.com, prepay. So you can go there, create an account, prepay for credits. That'll get you a better rate with that budget. And then those credits are good for a year, which you should be able to easily blow through.
How authentic does the handwriting look? Like,
I don't know if you can see
Oh
that, or
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if
yeah,
it's
yeah,
mirrored in
yeah.
reverse. It's mirrored for me. So we have 35 styles, or more than 35 on the website.
Oh,
You
you can do
can you
signatures?
can do signatures and all that. There's a fee, one-time setup fee for that. We do a lot to make the handwriting look real, but not fall in the uncanny valley.
Right.
So what do I mean? We don't write down the straight left edge of the page. It's not like you can see it in this one actually.
Yeah.
It's not on the hard edge. It's trying to write on the left side, but it jitters in and out. So we do that. We don't write the same distance from every line. So the line spacing goes up and down a little bit. We're talking points,
Yeah.
not inches. What we have a competitor, there's this zigzag in and out and up and down, and it's crazy. Nobody would do that. So you have to not do something that looks fake. You have to be as if you're trying very hard to write perfectly down the edge and you screwed up. And then we vary the characters. So two O's look different in a document.
Mm,
At the beginning and at the end, those might be different. And that two O's together look different than two O's apart. How do you connect those two O's? Do you connect two T's with one bar or two bars? All those little nuances we put in our handwriting styles, and those are all available. And then if there's none that you like, you can design your own. But I'll tell you, I'm the founder of the company. I don't even have my handwriting in there. We have employees' handwritings, but not mine. I just don't find it that important in my own.
so the handwritings that are in there, are they proprietary to your company?
We designed them,
You
yes.
designed them, okay.
There are a few that are legacy from when we used an off-the-shelf auto pen years and years ago,
Yeah.
and we were able to kind of reverse engineer them because people liked them. But most of the handwriting styles we designed, they're either ours or they're clients that let us use theirs. So Executive Adam, all the names are kind of Chill Cherry, whatever. Tenacious Neck. Executive Adam was a client of ours. He let us use his. We have celebrities that have their own that don't let us use theirs.
Mm.
And people that are social media famous. We've got famous quarterbacks of football teams. It's kind of crazy who uses us.
So if someone had the budget, they could replicate their own handwriting.
Yeah.
So do you
I don't think it's that necessary.
Yeah,
It's expensive.
Yeah.
But if they want to, yes.
Wow. And then I guess, so how much would it cost to, you said the signature, the sign off,
Yeah,
you do that, that's a one-time fee, and then you have it in your profile?
correct. Yeah, that's
Okay.
$250 one time. If you want your own handwriting, it depends if you're block or cursive. So if you're block, it's 1,500. If it's cursive, meaning the letters connect, we have to spend a lot of time fixing those connections, it's $2,000 one time.
For every letter?
No, one time fee.
No, but I mean, like, the whole alphabet, like A, B, C, D.
Oh yeah, like it's a one-time fee total. So
That's actually, I think that's reasonable.
yeah, and so what you do is we'll send you a whole preschool kit,
Where you
kindergarten
right,
kit.
right.
You
Yeah.
have to write all the letters several times, so we have multiple variations, and then we have you write a bunch of goofy words because you'll fill out that handbook like how you want to write,
Yeah.
but then you'll write the words how you actually write. And we're trying to capture how you actually write. It's interesting, but yeah, so we'll take all that, put it together. It takes about a week, and then we have your handwriting.
Amazing. I didn't even think that would be a possibility to do that. But I mean, if you're sending, if a big brand who sees the value in this and adopts it, they're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on their email bill like that to set up their
Yeah.
own handwriting.
It's no big deal.
Yeah, that's very reasonable.
Yeah, and we have like CEOs that do it. We're doing an inbox program, hopefully, with a consumer brand, and they're going to include a little insert in the box, and they're having their graphic designer like do it in Illustrator, the little card, and we'll replicate it, which is great. But I'm like, don't do it in Illustrator, draw it. By doing it in Illustrator, you're missing the point. It's supposed to look hand drawn. I'm trying to convince them not do it in Illustrator, do hand draw it, and we'll take care of the rest and make it look organic.
It's amazing. What's some of the most memorable notes you've seen
Yeah,
Or
so we
empty?
did a program with a mattress company where they did these doodles where there's a couple ideas with what we do. One of them is it can be personal without being personalized. What I mean here is like if you're doing an inbox, most of the time it's logistically impossible to get a custom note in that box. Like because in this mattress company they make thousands of mattresses a day, and they put the note in the box when they're getting made. So what we did was we made, I believe, 12 different doodles, and we randomized them, and they were inserted in boxes. So it'd be like, thank you for your first night on this mattress. And there'd be a little person dreaming of the moon and the stars or whatever, all these cute little things. But then they stopped the program, and I asked them, why did you stop? They said, oh, we just did that when we're a small company. Now we're big, we don't have to, which I think was insane. You want to create that emotional connection at all stages, big or small. But yeah, that's what they did. I think, we have the snack box company is a great example. We work with automotive dealerships. I know it's kind of outside of your realm, but they send all these printed cards, printed letters saying, come in to trade in or trade up your car. When they replace those with handwritten, they see a 17 times greater response rate. 17. So 1,700% greater. And yes, it costs more, but when you adjust for that ROI, it's still about 7 times greater ROI. So yeah, there's a lot of there's all sorts of use cases out there.
And I don't have the data in front of me, but I read this at one point that the average piece of direct mail gets touched, I think it was 7 times before it's thrown in the garbage, and it sits on a shelf on a counter or an island for like 5 days on average. Like,
yeah, that's why I like our folded cards, because they literally stand up on your desk, right? Like black card's going to get lost, but a folded is going to stand up. So that's why I like sending folded. And then, we will use them to prospect. We'll send them out to people, and then we'll call them and we say, did you get our card? And they'll say yes. And they say, great, then it works. Why don't we sign you up? Because, versus an email or a text message, how many times have you printed out a text message and stuck it on anything?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is there any way to send this, speaking of prospects, to potential customers? Or like is there any databases you can plug into as far as getting addresses and information?
Yeah, we offer it for free on our website. So we have a residential database and then a business database. Your mileage may vary. It's just, we provide it for free, and it's updated. It's a service. It's a well-known underlying service. But, you can circle an area on a map and select the demographic, number of people in household or value of the house or, whatever, and then send it to those people. So, or if you have a customer list and you're opening a physical store, this is also a great way to do it. So, for example, we work with an eyeglass store that's nationwide and I'm sure in Canada. And every time they open a store, they send an invitation to people that have used them either online or gone to another store, but happen to be in their neighborhood to drive traffic. We've also worked with a jewelry store and also spas. When they open, we just send it to people using our database. Yeah, you can do it either way, either your database or ours.
And what are some of the ways you can filter that? You said you can filter by family size?
Family, people in household, net income range, net worth range, which I have no idea how they know that. Maybe there's averages based on zip code. And then, what else? Value of home. And then on the business side, it's broken down by NAICS codes. So if you're targeting dry cleaners in Phoenix, you could circle Phoenix and then pick the NAICS code for dry cleaners and it would send it around. And you can limit it and say, don't, only send out 100 or whatever and do it that way. So
what's the biggest mistake our brands are making with this? Like to avoid what?
Yeah. What's make your note too long. If you make your note too long, it's not going to, people will be like, nobody sat down to write me a love letter. I would say making it all about calls to action. Don't forget to visit this crate and then give a weird URL that nobody would write.
Yeah.
That's, whatever, abc.com/x4q bang, like nobody's going to write that.
Yeah.
So those would be the big two. focusing too much on calls to action, not enough on sincerity.
Yeah. What's the future for handwritten? What do you like? What do you got in the works coming up?
We might add, we're updating doodles. For a while, we allowed you to add a little drawing to your, directly on the website. You could place like a little picture or something.
Yeah.
Due to some internal issues, we had to take that down. That'll be back hopefully next week. And then we're probably going to move into fulfillment. We currently fulfill business cards and stickers and that type of thing. So anything that would go in an envelope. But the next step might be physical fulfillment. So if you wanted to include product or have us do all your Shopify fulfillment for you and include a handwritten note in every box, we could do that. So personalized fulfillment.
Amazing. Or even like samples, maybe like
Yeah.
that would send with it. Like, here's our new.
Yeah, that's actually another use case is sending Instagram influencers sample kits.
Yeah.
We do a lot of that for makeup brands. So that's certainly something too.
Okay. Before we run out of time here, someone's listening. I guarantee there's people who want to try this and they're excited and inspired. Could someone like install? So go to handwritten.com to set up your pricing so you get the better rates. But then could they be sending cards today? Is there a set time or?
Yeah. No, it's easy. If you can go to handwritten.com, create an account, create your custom card. You can't create the custom card in Shopify. You create it in Handwritten and then it will appear in Shopify. And then install us from the App Store. Please give us a 5-star rating. We'll have enough people rating us. And
I know how hard it is to get ratings. People are busy, but yes, we're in the same boat.
Set up those triggers, and triggers will automatically send out your card when the time is right. And if you have any questions, we have domestic, US customer support. They're actually right in the other office. So it's not like you're talking to somebody across the world to get help. We're here to assist you.
Amazing. Awesome. This has been very insightful. I think there's a lot of brands right now. My opinion is there's probably a window of time to really jump on this. And maybe in 5 years, it's like become easy. Like, but right now, if you send a personalized note, I can't even think of one I've gotten the last year. I know I've maybe gotten a couple, but like, it's not like I open my email and I have 100 emails every day. I just try to close them as fast as I can.
Correct. Yeah.
Like you could stand out right now with this. I think this is an amazing tool.
And again, this is the long play, right? You're trying to get the lifetime value, not the 2-week value out of the customer, and really just share some gratitude. It'll really make you stand out. Nobody is saying thank you anymore. Everybody's assuming the sale. So
yeah. Imagine you get a letter or a note from a brand and it's like, this is not a sales pitch. We just want to say thank you for being a customer.
Yep, that's it.
The feeling that would leave inside of you is incredible. Like there's nothing in there. It's like you've ordered from us 5 times and just want to say thank you. Like,
that's it. That's it exactly. And then, you can put a little bit of your why, I started this company, just to make that connection. There's a great book, Creating Superfans by Brittany Hodak. Recommend people read that book. But, you can include something like that in the note and you try to connect emotionally with the customer on your why. But that's it. It's what I call a full stop thank you. You're just saying thank you. That's it. You're not upselling. You're not apologizing. You're just saying thank you.
Yeah.
I don't get that anymore.
I'm picturing you working with your customers, like, no, just say thank you. Like they all want to take it further.
Yeah. Everybody is so focused on some ROI in this channel, whereas every other channel, who knows, right?
Yeah.
Like what's the ROI of a restaurant's clean bathroom?
Right.
If I walk in a bathroom and it's filthy, I'm not going back, but are they, they're people pick things to set up, what's the ROI of the back of that magazine versus or 10,000 other magazines that or a billboard you drive. People pick and choose where it's important to try to needle the ROI. And I think it's just important to do full stop. So,
well, I'm willing to bet that people who get a handwritten note are also engaged more in emails, SMS, probably engaged more on your social. So it probably raises the ROI impact of other channels as well. So like,
I agree. Yeah.
Use this channel to make the customer feel appreciated, build the relationship, and your email is the the call to action,
Yeah.
but this probably will make them more responsive to it. So, David, this has been awesome. Really,
Thank you, John.
really
Really nice
appreciate
meeting
it.
you.
Yeah,
And if I don't see you at Sub Summit, one of my team will. They'll be there again if you're going.
awesome. Yeah, I'll be there for sure. I'm there every year. I'll make sure that all the links, I know we've mentioned them in the show, but I'll make sure everything else in the are in the comments. Is there anywhere you want to send people to, any social platforms you're active on, or?
Well, handwritten.com, and then click business at the top, and you can request free samples if you want those, or click Shopify under integrate, and we'll set you up on Shopify. Personally, DB Wax, WACHS, so DB Wax on Instagram. I'm trying to get out there. But yeah, no, it's all about handwritten.com. HANDWRYTTEN.
Amazing. Thank you so much, David.
Thanks, Jay.